Okay, well, welcome everybody and thank you for coming. I'm assuming everybody can hear and see me now. So one of the things that I'd really like to do is acknowledge that we are all on treaty land and the ancestral and contemporary lands of First Nations, Inuit people, and the homeland of the Métis. As a person working in the mining industry, it's important for me to recognize that our industry is only as successful as it is because of the sacrifices of Indigenous peoples in Canada. The land in many instances was harvested without consent or approval through forced eviction and genocide. It's our duty in this industry to ensure that this is not a part of our path forward, for this is still the land of Canada's Indigenous peoples and a land they still have claim to. As a group, it's important that we commit to respecting the land we were on, the land we harvest, and the people who subsist off these lands that we now share. Commit to meaningful consultation with Indigenous peoples and recognize that colonial customs are not the customs of Indigenous people. Strive to learn the ways of Indigenous people and communicate through the cultural norms that are present and have been for years. It's time for us to recognize that we as an industry need to adapt to the ways of Indigenous peoples as a way to respect, include, and honor the ways of the past, present, and future. And I'd like to give a shout out to Peggy Bell because she had a post on LinkedIn just recently, and it basically spoke to this exact thing: how we really need to look at how we're doing that consultation with Indigenous peoples and understand that the colonial way that we do things might not be the way that we should be doing things. And it was great to see that post and her basically committing to that and asking everybody else to commit to that as well. And I'd like to challenge everybody else here to really look at the way that they do consultation and take that on as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for that reminder. I think it's so powerful to remember um, the history and the context. And I think anyone that
Yeah,
is on site at a mining company or close to the face of the value of what's being extracted really understands that and knows the importance of it. So really appreciate you
yeah,
bringing that perspective as an Indigenous woman in mining. I know this topic is near and dear to your heart. You've seen
mm-hmm.
the waves of talent, and you know a lot of people that are part of the stories that make up the statistics that we're all so
Yeah,
familiar with at this point, right? The dearth of people and basically what are we going to do? That's the question we're all here to answer today. And I would
right.
love for you to give us some personal data points about some people that you've seen. Maybe you'll tell us a bit of a story to give us a picture
Yeah,
of what's going on, which at the heart of it is really all about people and their individual
right.
decision. What's
Absolutely.
going on from your perspective?
Well, I have a lot of friends, male friends that are in the mining industry, and we've had a lot of lengthy conversations as to, about women in mining and them being in mining. And often, one of the biggest misconceptions that I have arguments about, well, let's say discussions, is that women don't want to work in mining. And that simply isn't true. I mean, everybody here knows that. Um, I know many women who are in mining who want to be there. And I know many others who aren't in mining who have an interest in it, or there's other people out there who don't really understand the connection for their passion with how they can have an occupation within the mining industry. I was mentoring some environmental students, and they were really looking for something in their field and they were having a difficult time. And one of them really wanted to focus on waste management. I'm like, hello, supply chain. And I explained to them how they could really have an impact on the environment when it came to material management and supply chain issues. So it was kind of neat to be able to help connect them. But when it comes to the women in mining, some of the things that I hear is the money is awesome. I hear that time and time again. I've probably said it myself. And why wouldn't a woman want to make the money in the mining industry? Women make 75% of that household expenditure decisions, right? The other one that I've heard is I love working my hands and creating perfection with each weld. I have a friend who is a welder, and she absolutely loves what she's able to create. There's an art to some of the jobs in there. And honestly, I wish I knew how to weld. I've been getting stuck on reels on Facebook, just watching them. It's amazing how much time I've wasted doing that. Another thing that I've heard is the wages and benefits allow me to be financially secure. And many people don't want to have to depend on a partner. And there's many families that have both partners working because they have to. Let's face it, it's not cheap anymore, especially in this day and age. I went shopping for the first time for groceries in a couple months because my hubby does it. And wow, I couldn't believe how much I paid for a bag of groceries. It was crazy. Another thing too is because I'm great at my job, some simply just love the job that they do and the impact that they're having from doing their job in the mining industry. And that's one of the things that I loved. I had a passion for environmental sustainability, and that's what I did when I first got out there into the world. I never actually expected myself to be working in the mining industry, which is weird considering I come from a family that has a lot of history in mining. And also, I grew up in a mining town, but it honestly, it wasn't something that our career counselor or guidance counselor ever told us was an option. I was told I could be a nurse or a teacher. And I graduated top of my class. I could be anything. I know that now, but one of the other ones, pardon? No,
Nope, that wasn't me. You carry on.
no. Another one was I always wanted to operate heavy equipment and now you get paid well to do it. Heck, I played with Tonka trucks when I was little and loved digging in the sand and operating them. And when I started in the mining industry, I also I worked as a laborer and got to uh, operate all sorts of different things. Actually, when I was 16, I worked for the village that I live in now, and I got to learn how to operate the loader and the grader and all that kind of stuff. My boss was kind of great. He's like, here, go drive this. You need to do this. And I was like, I've never driven one before. He's like, it's just like driving a tractor. I'm like, I've never driven a tractor. He's like, you'll learn. And it was great, and it was more because the guy that I worked with, who was the same age as me, he knew would probably wreck everything. So
So
one of the other ones that I find is fascinating too is people just say it's in my DNA. There's a lot of women around where I work, in the mines that I've worked at, who have a family history of people working in the mines. My aunt worked in the mines for 40 years. And it was, and she's a great person. Who wouldn't want to follow in her footsteps, right? There's a lot of people who just simply want to continue the tradition. And then my favorite, when I asked someone, was, why wouldn't I? And it's a very good question, right? So
Carrie, I just love how you've taken the time to give us some real data points, right? These are real women saying these things
mm,
to really help us question some of our assumptions that we might have been making. And
mm,
I'll use we in the sense of the mining industry or society in general, might have been
yeah,
making certain assumptions about what women are interested in, what women are capable of. And obviously, we as women-led businesses serving the mining industry, this is part of what we're here to do, right? Is to emerge with new solutions and new possibilities to this question that the industry is clearly grappling with right now. So
absolutely.
thanks for taking the time to really help us open up our minds and maybe question and challenge some of those stereotypes, because, well, if we're having a talent crisis in mining and we can add, a large pool of people that were
Hmm.
previously getting overlooked or discounted, there's a big part of the solution right there, right? There's your
Absolutely.
spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
yeah, exactly. There's one of the other things that I've heard too is, and one of my dear friends, he's like a little brother to me. He said this a few times. He's like, women don't want to do it, or they can't do this.
Mm.
And it's a hard job. It's dirty. They don't have the physical capabilities. They'll never make it. And my friend's daughter is an amazing young woman. She is 22, or yeah, she's 22. And she started out a couple years ago as a driller's helper. And there was a guy that started shortly after her. And he started August 2021. She started in June 2021. Now he's 5'11", She's 5'4". She's very small. So small, in fact, that he outweighs her by 90 pounds. And she became a driller in May of 2022, and he's still working on it. And it's not necessarily that he's not good at his job, but he doesn't have the drive. He doesn't have the passion. He's not there to just stick to it and learn. And she says it's almost like he's just there for a paycheck, you know? But she genuinely loves her job, and she has the physical capabilities to do it. She's tiny, but she's a powerhouse. She's tenacious. She's intelligent, and this is what she loves to do. I mean, she became a driller in less than a year from a drill helper, and a lot of people don't do it in that time, right? So it's quite impressive to see, you know. And I've got another example as well. In 2022, Diamonds in the Rough, the nonprofit that I run, we went to the International Mines Rescue Competition in West Virginia. Now, when we do this group, we get women from across Canada, and we get them together and we train for a very short period of time. In this case, we trained for 4 days, and then we went and competed in this international competition. This was the most inexperienced team that I've had. Some of them had less than a year experience in mine rescue, others less than 3, couple around 5, one with a significant amount more, but our total years of experience in our mine rescue experience was 38 years. This other team, it was an all-male team. They were 64 years of mine rescue experience, so quite a bit more. Now, we had 4 days. This other team, as a group, they'd been training together over and over a year period. Now, our average weight was about 170 pounds, and their average weight was about 217. Great group of guys, awesome. They know their stuff. Let's take into account this is an international mine rescue competition. There are a lot of people who are really good at their jobs. I just like to point out these women had never known each other before. They'd never trained together before. They were tiny. And all those things that I just talked about before is they can't do it. They're not physically strong enough. They're just that whole conversation about how we don't belong in roles like this, because this is a non-traditional role. Well, our results, I think, spoke for themselves. We came 6th overall. The other team, they came less than 10, or sorry, I guess I got the thing back here. They were way below the 10th placement. In rope rescue, we got 2nd. They gotten within the top 10. We got 3rd in tech and theory. They got below 10. I think they were 12th, 13th, somewhere around there. Firefighting, we came in 4th. They did well. They got top 3. We actually lost 3rd by, I think it was 40 seconds. Oh. But we did really well. They did well as well, absolutely. And we're not there just to say, hey, you know, we're better than men. We're there to show that we're capable of doing it. We want to do it. We're damn good at it. And when we set our minds to something, we can take over the world if we want. So watch out. But one thing that's really important to note here too is 3 of the top 5 teams that did very, very well, and a couple were from Canada. They had both men and women on their teams. It just goes to show that we are better together, right? We as women don't want to do it on our own. When it comes to making things great, we want the collective whole to have the best of the best, so we can advance and be as successful as possible. And that means we're going to have men in there too, right? And that's not a bad thing. We need those allies. We need that support, and we are better together. This is, it's important to note that because there's a lot of people. I know I've had people actually say that about times. Oh, they're just there to say men are stupid or men are this or that. No, absolutely not. We need them. We've learned a lot from them. You can see in the picture here, two of my co-founders, they're men. I couldn't do any of this without them. So we need those allies. We need those supports. So, and just a little plug at the end here. We are hopefully going to be competing in Colombia this fall. And we do need sponsors. I have sent out some letters, and I will be sending out more emails and doing more phone calls. And I'm hoping to go to PDAC and maybe talk to a few more people so you guys can get some more information and support a really good cause. We are First Nations, female led, and we are dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And people ask us why we're doing it. I've explained a few things, but we do it because it works. We've seen double when the first time we competed in the IMRC, we doubled the number of women that were in IMRC. This time there was double what there was in 2018. So it's good to see more women getting into it. And I've seen probably just over a half a dozen all-female teams get together across the world just to participate in an all-female environment, learn from each other, and show people that they do belong and they want to be there. So great cause. Please, if you're interested, get a hold of me, but chances are I'll be getting a hold of you anyway.
Carrie, thank you so much for sharing that. And again, in case you missed it, Carrie is the managing director and co-founder of Diamonds in the Rough, which is a nonprofit led by women, Indigenous women within the mining community. And really, there is this overdrawn sort of theme around diversity and inclusion. And the way that you're doing it, I think, is just so interesting and so powerful to see these women getting out there, going into these competitions, proving themselves, to be not only just as good, but maybe sometimes better. Not that it's a competition in real life, outside those competitions, we are a team. We do work together and we bring out the best in each other when we have these diverse teams in mining. Just loved how you pulled that all together for us.
Yeah. I also, one of the things that I didn't mention, I want to mention is for those who are involved in mine rescue, I think what our program really shows too is how good mutual aid can work. These women have never, when they go to competition, these are events that they've never practiced in before. So, you've got somebody, mutual aid, who's going to a mine they've never been in before, working with people they've never worked with before. It can be very, very successful, right? So I think that's important to note too. So, but yeah, we want to be there. We can do it. It is the best thing in the world, Erica. I just like to say, most interesting thing in the world to me. This is my baby, the only baby I've ever given birth to. But an 11-year gestational period is kind of crazy. But yeah, I absolutely love it. It is my passion. Oh, thank you.
Carrie, one question.
Yeah.
So if I'm a sponsor, or generally your sponsors are mining companies, and then they leverage that, they're in a position as well to offer their employees the opportunity to participate. Just how does it come together? Your teams come together.
So what we do is we put a call out to through social media and through connections that we're looking for women. Each woman has two opportunities to attend our training session and compete. When we have sponsors, those are our target areas to try and get their women in to participate with us. So depending on the level of sponsorship, we'll basically offer kind of first dibs, second dibs, that kind of thing. But it's also important to note that we want women there who have the drive as well. It's you know, it's not about glory or anything like that. We want people who want to learn, increase their leadership ability, increase their skill set, and those that definitely need a boost in confidence, because wow, does this ever do that? So yeah.
Thank you. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it as an incredible opportunity on all the different levels that you mentioned, and really empowering opportunity for mining companies to engage on a different level.
Yeah.
Very practical, applicable, and like you said, learning environments to for their female employees. I love it.
Yeah. Nutrien was our biggest sponsor for our last round. They were very generous and so supportive. They actually had a couple of their people come down and actually watch and liaise with us during the competition in West Virginia, and we actually had one of their ladies on the team. So it was great, and she was a powerhouse. After she did her part of the relay, I heard one of the judges speak behind his clipboard to the other one. And he's like, some of the guys are definitely not going to want to follow this. It was great to see. But yeah,
right on.
she was powerhouse. She's
Congratulations.
awesome. Yeah. Thank you.